All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone to Draw Me Anything. This is episode 21. My name is Jason. I'm a cartoonist and a comedian in New York City. Thank you all for joining. I know some of you are here from seeing Brendan's Substack or newsletter or social media. So welcome to you guys. These sessions are pretty casual. We basically talk about anything from creative process to tools to life and Substack. We often talk about that. Today, I'm really excited because I get to talk to someone who I started out as a fan of, and then got to meet, and everything he does now is just like it's. I don't think I've seen one thing he's done where I'm like, oh, really? Like, I think I've bought every book that he's written and shared every cartoon he's drawn. He is uh, a multi-hyphenate. He's a writer. He's an illustrator. He's an ultra marathon. He's an ultra runner. He's an ex-van life guy. And I'm about to go on an RV road trip with my sister and her boyfriend out west. Never done that before, so I'm going to need his help. So without any further ado, please welcome Brendan Leonard. There he is.
This is my
Brendan.
grand entrance where I slide my chair over. I was just sitting over here the entire time.
The whole time. The whole time.
Blushing. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Welcome. Janice, yes, I am heading to Oregon. Anyway, welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you because the last time we talked, you were post New York City Marathon, I think. You just got was the day before or after?
Day before, yeah.
Right. You were about to go and get that slice of pizza that you love on the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
After your marathon.
Yeah.
What was the place?
La Traviata is the name of the
Traviata.
place.
That's right. Great pizza.
Well, they have an eggplant parmesan slice. I feel like everybody just has their own little spot, and like they may or may not be like that great objectively, but subjectively, it's your place. So
totally, yeah. And everyone insists that their place is the best.
I don't, but I'm curious. What is your slice place?
Joe's on Bleecker.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the original one, not the one on Bedford in Brooklyn. Although that one is pretty good. The grandma slice is pretty good on that one. Different oven. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you today about a whole bunch of things. The reason I want to talk to you is I'm about to go on a road trip. Okay. I've been to 36 out of the 50 states. I've traveled around America a lot, but never really in a van or a car or an RV. And my sister and her boyfriend they've been going all across America, across the top, and back again. And I'm meeting them out in Seattle, and then we're doing Seattle and Tacoma and Oregon and Eugene, and then taking the one down California to San Francisco. And I've never lived in an RV. I've never cooked in an RV, certainly not with two other people. And I feel like you are the OG expert in my life on this. What do you recommend I do? What are you recommending I do?
I lived in an Astro van for 2.5 years. Lived in a car for 6 months before that. And we didn't have, you couldn't like stand up in the van, but I remember my aunt when I was in Portland. I have two aunts in Portland. My aunt was like, "Oh, so you live in a van?" I showed her the van. She's like, "Where do you go to the bathroom?" And I go, I mean like Starbucks or outside. So, but that'll be taken care of for you. But gosh, what would my recommendations be? I don't know. How big is the RV?
It's pretty big, but not as big as, it's not like a Goofy movie level. It's a little, I wish I could show you a picture of it. They sent one, but I don't have it with me. It's decent size, but it's not massive. It's not one of those ridiculous big road houses, and it's not like, I want to say, did you see Nomadland? Yeah. Okay. It's around that size.
Okay. I bring earplugs. Earplugs would be nice.
Oh,
Since there's 3 of you in it. It's like
Yeah,
sleeping
yeah.
in a very small apartment. So, uh,
Nice. And I did see your post about how to complain to fellow campsite people about keeping the noise down. And I think I'm going to gaslight myself. I think that's
uh,
the option I'm going to go with.
that's the best way. I think you'll have better results than me because the Australian accent is so charming to Americans. I think that'll work better.
I don't
But
know, man.
yes.
I don't know. When you're complaining to people, it's different. I have a friend, he wrote a joke for me, which was having an Australian accent in America. It's like a dress with pockets. It's not that interesting, but women fucking love it.
I still
And
find it charming. Yeah. I don't
charming?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than just an American it's more interesting than just an American accent, but,
Sure.
yeah, I don't the last time I did it was just a few weeks ago, and it was like I just had to I my strategy was to just creepily emerge from the shadows, which I did with my hands in front of me to show that I didn't have a gun because it was Montana, and I was just like,
Oh, yes.
just kinda crept in, and they said something before I said anything, and they're like, "Are we being too loud?" And I was just like, "Yeah." And And I just said, "I have a toddler who's trying to sleep right now." And they're like, "Okay." And then I just, like, vampired my way out of the
Yeah,
scene.
Homer Simpson your way back into the hedge.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But, like, I didn't wanna I'm not a threatening person, but I was like, "I wonder if they think I'm a psychopath because 'cause that'd be awesome if they did." But
Yeah,
they
like
did
a
shut up.
Clint Eastwood type.
Yeah, but you never know, and it's such a loaded thing, and to, like, go up to my wife and I talked about, like, difference between a man going up to a group of people and asking them to be quiet versus a mom or a mother or a
Hmm.
woman, and, like, there's all sorts of different you don't know what's gonna happen, so, and I got some horror stories emailed to me,
Oh, really?
after
After
that.
that?
Yeah, but and mostly funny ones, though, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
By the way, Mike said Australian accent, charming, British accent, villain. So thanks, Mike. We were
Hard
both
to
talking about you, Mike, right before we went live because your Substack is fantastic. I want to shout out Mike. So it's Souden? Souden, right?
You're embarrassing him right now. He's just by himself watching this. He's just like, "God, shut up. Stop, please. Stop talking about how great
Yeah.
I am." Yeah.
There he is. He's blushing.
Yep.
Go and subscribe to his. I look at his all the time to see what he's doing because we're all trying to figure it out. Like, what are you doing? What is everyone else doing? His is fantastic. He's having a lot of fun.
I tell people to, if they are considering starting a Substack or writing on Substack, to look at Mike's because Mike, A, is successful, but more importantly, has fun, doing
Yeah.
it. It's like it's a person who's not treating it like it's a job and like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this," and, like,
Right.
you can feel it in the writing, which is amazing. So
Yeah. You can feel it in yours too. You've been right. Here's the thing that always struck me about you because I don't think I'm a writer. I'm getting better at it by virtue of having to do it on Substack regularly and just sort of building that muscle. But you,
hard
from the
disagree,
get
but
go,
okay.
all right, let's. But the thing is, like, I was always a cartoonist, so I was drawing images instead of necessarily writing big, long, essays or anything like that. You were doing that years ago. You were doing travel writing for magazines and doing collaborations with outdoor brands, and you do these hilarious cartoons as well, which everyone should check out. And semi-red, I know you started in like 2011 or something, which is early for I guess it's a huge as a newsletter. It's big, but it's such a perfect example of like finding your niche, finding your people, and just playing to them. Feeding those who show up to dinner, as it were. Not trying to please the world and be everything to everybody. Anyone who hasn't subscribed to Semi-Rad, I think it's semi-rad.com, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great newsletter. I've been and I found it through I don't even remember how I found it. I think one of your articles.
I think I found you first and shared your piece about why you quit social media, which
Oh,
was
that's what it was.
what year was
You're
that?
right. You're right. It was
Like
2020,
yeah.
2021, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did. I deleted all my social media for a full year and a bit. Yeah, and then I had to reactivate it to get a book deal. They wouldn't let me sign the deal without turning
and, like,
my
now
social
now
stuff
you're
on.
selling books, man. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you, Instagram. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Oh, well, that really moved the needle.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
You've done a bunch of different books. My favorite one of yours, and it was when I started running, which I'm not a runner at all. It's I Hate Running, and you can too. And I remember just reading. There's all these little graphs and charts, and it's a very realistic like take on. Yeah, some people just like proselytize running and doing marathons and ultras, and and they're like it's the best, like chasing the runner's high. But you're so real about it. You're so like truthful about it because it can suck and it does suck and you do get injuries and the fuel and food and chip drink. I learned chip drink from you. All of these little tricks uh, are so great. And it's right what you know, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because you've done a bunch of books now. You can show them too if you want to show
oh yeah, yeah, that one. It's so funny. I have a copy of that right here, Jason.
them.
Yeah,
How
it's
weird is that?
amazing.
That I just brought it up and
Uh,
you have a copy. Oh my
yeah,
God.
I mean, so I feel like everybody just, in order to, in order to exercise, we just trick ourselves into thinking we enjoy something. Like unless it's like if you like, you can really enjoy playing basketball, but like most of these solo activities that you do, like going to the gym or running on a treadmill or using a stairmaster, you're just like, yeah, I like it. I like it. And you're lying, no one, you know. So I've had that relationship with running for a long, long time. And I wrote the book because I thought it was just a funny play on like that sort of 90s infomercial, I lost 70 pounds on the Nutrisystem diet. And you can too, and like I hate it and you can too. And I think everybody there's a select few people who have enjoyed it their entire lives and are really
Hmm.
heartbroken when they can't do it anymore. And I
Yep.
don't understand them. The book is not for them. So
Mm.
it's for the people who are like, yeah, I hate it. I don't like doing it. I would never run unless I was late for a bus or getting chased by somebody. And
Hmm.
it's just kind of breaking that down and and then kind of making it accessible to people. I'm like, yeah, look, none of us are Olympic athletes. Here's how some of these things can apply to you. And it doesn't cover anything like here's a training plan or here's like what you should be eating. It's just like really basic stuff. Like, yeah, if something, gives you intestinal trouble, don't eat it before you run. Like very
Yeah.
simple.
Right.
Figure it out. And starts with like walking is running because, you know,
Yep.
what I do, I think it's an
I had
old.
that on above my desk. I had walking is running above my desk from your book. Yeah.
See, that's great. And, that's like an older, marathon training, idea from a very famous coach, like walk a little bit, run a lot, walk a minute, run 9 minutes or whatever. But I do ultra marathons in the mountains and like there's just terrain you're just not going to run. It would
Yeah.
be stupid. It would be really inefficient and dumb.
You roll
Um,
an ankle.
yeah. And when you talk to people about trail running, you say like, how much of a trail run do you have to run to call it a trail run instead of a hike? And they're like, oh, 10 feet, So, I mean, if you run at all. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
ideally more
I
than that, but yeah.
your that gave me permission to like. I'm first of all, I got asked invited to another run club today on WhatsApp and from a friend, and I'm at my most creative. I find when trying to come up with an excuse not to join a run club. I just,
Ooh,
I'm just like, oh, I've got a thing every Wednesday at 4. I'm sorry, I can't like whatever thing I come up with. It's very creative. Because I
yeah.
just run club's not my. I'll do pickleball every Wednesday. That's different. Run club, and they're very popular in New York City. They're very popular. These run clubs are so popular.
They're popular in a lot of places
Yeah,
now. Yeah. Mm.
yeah. Strava. Everyone's on Strava. Um, but yeah, I used to run down the West Side Highway. I used to live in Chelsea and run down and had the same route every day and just added maybe 3 feet to it every day. and and it was that book that kind of showed me that I was allowed to like the running walking ratio thing. Because every time someone would run past me, I assume in my head, oh, they've been running the whole time. I just thought, oh, that's just the pace they've been going since they left the house. I'm not seeing them walk. I'm not seeing them stop. And yeah, that you rewired my assumptions on that. And I lost. This is hilarious. I lost 20 pounds. I did. It took 2 years of running, but it worked. Which is
There you go.
Yeah, broke the dam on that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's trying to improve no matter what, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't like running with other people either. Even if I like them, you know, people will be like, "You wanna go for a run?" I'm like, "No, let's go get donuts." I wanna run by myself because then I'm not trying to keep up with you, you're not trying to keep up with me, I don't have to worry about whatever pace I'm going, whatever, and, like,
Yeah.
yeah. When I see people pass me, I always think, "Oh, they're probably only running 2 miles today." They just, like, took off on a dead sprint from the front door and caught me at, like, 300 feet into their run, and they passed me, and then they blew by, and that's all I'm gonna see them. But, yeah, I was like, "Yeah, they're probably not going that far." Or
This
they're
might
just
be the
faster
first.
than me.
Yeah, sure. There's that, and it might be their first run that they've taken in like a year and a half, and
Yeah.
they're only going to do 2 miles or 3 miles, and then they're going to get home and have a sore calf muscle for a week that they can't explain.
Who knows? Yeah. Or
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know about you, but we may have discussed this when we were talking in New York. There were two things we talked about that really stuck with me. One was about books and self-pub books versus going with a publisher. And the other one was like coming up with the ideas for these books, for these things. Like when you are exercising or you go out for a run and you just clear your head, or it puts you in a mode, like a creative. You just there's something about the perambulatory, even just walking, just that it does something to your brain creatively. And I think you have a very creative brain, but you seem to you'll go out and do like a project, like you'll build something or you'll go for a run or a hike or whatever, and then you have these ideas. I want to know, A, how do you capture them when they come to you when you're out running? Because I mean, do you have a notepad? Do you have a phone? I know you I don't know what you've experimented with. And second, how do you come up with the ideas for these books? Because you have all these books and you just end up make books are hard to make and they're certainly hard to sell, but like they're hard to come up with. How do you do it, and when and how do you do it? You do a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think the books is just like ignorance. You just like, maybe this one will take off." No, it won't. And then the last one I did, I was like, "I'm just gonna make something weird that I wanna make, and I don't care if it sells." And I was proven right.
What do you mean it
But
didn't sell?
I did okay. I don't know if I didn't pay attention, but I was like, I actually want it to be so weird to people that they think they don't understand it, and plenty of people understand it, but, there's a few people who didn't. I was like, "Great, I did it. I nailed it. That's art," if somebody doesn't get it. But, I don't know. I don't wanna flip that on you, but it's like you're creative in so many different ways too, and I wonder when something pops into your head and you're like, "Oh, that's good. That's a good joke." You're like,
Mm,
"Okay, when is it part of a larger essay that you write? When is it maybe a stand-up bit? When is it a cartoon?
mm,
And then is it a cartoon that needs a caption or not?" And, like,
right.
how do you process that, you know? And I think I'm maybe similar in that way where you're like, I think there might be something there," And
Yeah.
usually, I run with my phone. I don't listen to music or podcasts when I run, just because I want it to be my only time the time that I have that I don't have, input from
Wow.
anything. So
Mm,
it allows me the space to actually think because at home, I have 50 tabs open, multiple devices. We have the 3-year-old, which is a
yeah.
whole other, like I don't have time to think unless I'm like driving in a car or running. And so I
Mm.
have to run sort of for my job, quote unquote. So I take that time and I just like I don't look at my phone, but if I do have an idea, I'll type it in, real quick. I'll just pull off to the side or sometimes I use the voice notes thing on the
Oh,
iPhone,
wow.
which
Yeah.
really, you're like, "Man, this is such a great idea," and then you either read the transcript or listen to yourself, an hour later, you're like, "Wow, there might be something there, but I sound really dumb." But it's a way of not forgetting it, and occasionally, if I'm going on, like, a really short run and I don't have my phone, I'll just be like, "You gotta remember that. Remember it. Don't think of anything else for" it's like Jay-Z used to famously he's a crack dealer, before he was Jay-Z, and he would,
Hmm. Down on State Street.
yeah, and he would be out on corners just waiting, trying to sell, and, he would have rap lyrics come into his head, and he would walk to a corner store and buy something so he'd have a bag to write on or a receipt, or he got to the point where he's just like, I'm just not buying the bag anymore. So he memorized everything
Yeah.
so he famously never wrote anything down. He would just walk into the studio and be like, and freestyle, which is incredible. And
That
other
is
other
incredible.
rappers have tried to do it, but I'm not at that level at all. But if I can remember like 3 things by the time I get home, I'm pretty good. And then I'll just, oh God, write that down, or whatever. But yeah, you never know. And like, I try to not pursue things super far without knowing if I can actually make something of them. Those are tough weeks if I try to write 2 or 3 different ideas and none of them are really working out, and I have to
Mm,
leave them all half finished. I'm like, God, you idiot! What a waste of time, just inefficient. So I'm getting better at it as I get older and things get more complicated and more experience in writing. But you fail a lot, and you just have to. So, but yeah,
mm.
okay.
I
So
think
you
that's
can
a big
answer.
one. Failing a lot. That's,
Oh,
I think,
huge.
yeah, maybe the biggest thing is just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and just none of it hitting for a long time. And then one thing pops up and you're like, yep, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and what was a success very early in your career would be pale in comparison to what, like 4 people said they like that. Oh my gosh. But I teach writing courses too, and I think the biggest problem people have is just giving themselves permission to try
Yeah.
and fail. And it's like if you don't start trying and failing and putting yourself out there, you're never gonna get good. Like you have to start
Hmm.
failing now so you can be good, soon, as opposed to like, "Oh, I just gotta wait on this one idea and when I'm ready." It's like, "Oh, man, I
Yeah.
don't think that works."
Start before you're ready. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big comedy thing is bombing. Like you have to, unfortunately, it's a really uncomfortable process, but you have to get up on stage. And
Uh,
as much as you think something's funny, you could be doing it for 50 years and think, "Oh, I know it's funny now." And for the most part, you can get a sense, but until you do it on stage, you have no idea if it's going to work. And then it's a process of getting up and bombing and or just like tweaking and changing, but in that process, you have to build this sort of armadillo shell, this kind of, callus for pain, for like discomfort and embarrassment and all these things that, yes, you should probably avoid them. But in spite of all of your survival mechanisms that are deeply ingrained in your DNA, you go against them by getting up again or like writing another thing or, the New Yorker takes 16 cartoons a week. They get over 2,000 submissions a week. And so you develop a sense of, wow, I mean, if you go in going, well, this could be something, and then get really upset every time you get a cartoon rejected, you're never going to be a cartoonist. It's volume, 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 and you just keep submitting and 99.999% rejection. And one of them, no, it's never the one you want, but one of them will sell.
right. Yeah. Oh, stand-up is like writing for like an internet audience is so much easier than stand-up. Like you put it out there, if people don't think it's funny, it's basically indifference, or if you've offended people, which I try kind of not to do, um, they'll get mad at you. But like dealing with silence on the internet, you're just like, ah, shit, okay. But in a crowded room, like when you have like 4 more minutes left to fill or like 10, I'm like, I'm like pitting out, right, thinking about it right now. So anxiety,
But
Jesus.
you speak, don't you? Don't you do you're speaking?
Yeah, and generally the audience is, like they're coming to see me, you know what I
Sure.
mean? It's
Yeah.
not like like, "Oh, let's go see some people do stand up," you know?
Right. Right.
Or
Yeah.
like, it's like more like a Netflix special, where I
Mm,
mean, on a very low level, sorry, I'm not trying to say it, but it's like they know who they're getting most of the time,
yeah.
and also, I try to make it around a concept so that they're there for the story no matter
Mm,
what, and if they don't laugh at at the jokes I put, you know, in there throughout, it's okay. It's like we're still here to hear the end of the story or where the story
mm,
goes, and it's funny, that would be my closest experience to stand up, I would say,
mm.
and I've done, like, the same talk for, like, a book tour, oh gosh, like 30, 40 times, one book,
Wow.
a few of them another, like, maybe 10 times, and it's weird, you're like, you can like, people are gonna laugh at this one joke, and you're like, and nobody ever laughs at this other one, but I'm gonna try it anyway, and it still never hits, or sometimes it'll
Yeah.
hit a little bit, but yeah, I desperately cling to humor in my public speaking because I can't tell if people are listening otherwise. Like, if they laugh, they're still here, right? But yeah, so it's
Yeah,
more of
it's a
like a
good
nervous
metric.
tick. Yeah,
It's a good metric for attention, but also I think if anyone's not listening and you do get a laugh, then they kind of perk up and go, "Wait, what did they just laugh at? I missed that. I was daydreaming about my grocery list."
that's a good point. That's a good
Yeah,
point. Yeah,
it jolts other people into attention. I think
yeah,
the whole thing about comedy is it's attention management, but it's also you're directing people's mind. You're if you're telling a story or a bit or something, you are kind of conducting the audience's mind to a degree. You're trying to collectively get everyone to go to a place, or push them away, or pull them, or do something with them where yeah, you're conducting their attention. And then when you do like a reveal, like a pullback and reveal joke or something like that, you're playing with their head is what you're doing. Um, I was telling a friend the other day that one of my favorite reveals, my favorite in comedy, my favorite jokes are reveal jokes. There's all these different kinds of mechanisms in comedy writing, and you know them. But like the my favorite is a reveal because no matter how much I know about the mechanics of surprise and a reveal, I still enjoy the hell out of a good reveal joke. And one of them is my old friend Mike Goldstein used to get up. This is back in Perth, like 18 years ago when I started. I remember him getting up on stage and saying, "My girlfriend hates it when I pee in the shower, especially when she's in it and I'm not." Like, it just builds this image of him standing up. It's a great reveal. And there's the other one, which is like, I think it was one of Louis' specials where he's like, "We're the only species who learns that they're going to die. We're the only species on the planet that knows about their own mortality." He's like, "I learned that we're going to die when I was 7 years old. He was my grandfather." He said, "I wasn't even talking to him. I was just trying to blow out the candles." It's just like layers. It's a reveal joke is its own little gift. And I don't know, those writing mechanisms, like you say, like sometimes something's gonna work, but then sometimes it doesn't. For whatever reason, the the room is too hot, or the chairs are too close together, or it's too bright, or the microphone is not quite loud enough. Whatever it is, whatever variable for the identical joke told the identical way to not hit the same way as you expect it to, because you're so confident in it. You're like, this always works. And you're like, wait, it
yeah.
didn't hit. What the hell? What happened? What's wrong with all of you?
I feel like I read somewhere that Chris Rock would test his material in like clubs in Florida, like where it was more less of what he thought was his audience and more like sort of older white Americans. Does that make sense? And he would like use that as his test audience. And like if it hits here, it'll work in any other place. Which the differences in regional things and like crowds and like you can't really tell when you get up there and like who are these people? I don't know anything about them really. They're about to know a lot about me, but yeah. Yeah, I teach writing workshops and, we started doing like a humor unit and I could not believe I had to like, I was like, oh yeah, okay, let's just talk about humor. And I kind of was like trying to write stuff down. I'm like, I actually don't know how humor works at all. Like it's like an engine of a car I've started millions of times. And I just like, I couldn't tell you how the thing works, you know? And so I actually read a couple books about it and like the thing that I remember most is like the one principle is all humor contains misdirection, or
Yep.
surprise.
Surprise.
And that's like the pee in the shower thing is like such a great example of that. You're like, oh, okay. But to try to write down the techniques, it's like, wow, this is actually I don't know if this should be an academic thing. And there's a joke about it. It's like trying to explain humor is like dissecting a frog. Nobody has any fun, and then the frog dies. I think something like that. It's
Yep.
like,
That's the same.
yeah. So I don't know, but it's all we got, man. We got to we got to stick with it.
Well, I mean, there's a way, like comedians dissect the frog all the time. When we hang out in the green room or we're talking shop or whatever, we're all kind of trying to reverse engineer things and figure out, the how the engine works. But to a degree, there is a mystery to it. Some of it is like you can't quite nail why something works, but you know it does. So you just go, you know what? It's like a magic trick. Look at that. Mike just said humor and magic tricks. Do they tinker with the same parts of the brain? That's true. I mean, it kind of is. It's playing with the human mind, with perception and with understanding and reality and misdirection, which, like you said, misdirection and surprise are two of the biggest, most fundamental parts of humor writing. And I feel like you had it innately. You always kind of, with your writing, even though you didn't literally know the specific mechanics of what you were doing, you just knew you just did it. And then you kind of figured out, oh, this seems to work. But like the other piece to it, I think, with you, is, you'll go and read books about comedy. Like, I don't know what books you read, if like Judy Carter, the Comedy Bible, or How to Write Funny. I think I've read every version of those books on my bookshelf. What did you read? Which books did you read?
It's actually called Humor Seriously, and
Oh yeah,
it's written by a couple Stanford prof- business professors, I believe, or they taught a
hmm
business class at Stanford about humor in the workplace, and like it was more like why we should use it and how it's effective in different ways, as opposed to just making people laugh. And in writing, when I teach the writing courses, I try to say, like, look, we're not like the goal is not to get people like belly laughing at your story. It's the goal is to provide levity, so you can
mm
talk about hard things, but then kind of show like, yeah, I I'm still here, I'm still human, and I'm not, death happens or sad things happen, but I do have a little bit of humor. So you're not just like writing a 300-page book that's just like total darkness and Kafka, basically, but it's a way of, Kurt Vonnegut was a master of it for sure, but it's a way of telling stories where you're not, when people, open your Substack, they're not like, oh God, here's another, I don't feel like I can do this today. All Jason
Yeah.
writes about is this dark shit that it's like, it just depresses the hell out of me. But they're like, this guy helps me understand the dark shit, but I'm also not, sad, super sad when I'm done with it. It's kind of, I mean, basically it's being Irish, I guess is another way of looking at it. The masters of dark humor, in
Yes,
my
the
in my
one Leonard
opinion.
line.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a friend who's Navajo who says the same thing, about he's like, "Nope, that's what we do too." I'm like, "Oh, great, yep." It's not of course, it's not just one people who does it, but yeah. No, my mom's family is, full 100% Irish, and, like,
hmm
I was I've told the story multiple times, but I was, like, literally holding my grandmother's hand on her deathbed while she was dying, and
Wow.
so my mom was there, my aunt, 2 of my uncles, and my aunt another one of my aunts by marriage, and they just didn't stop joking. It was like, and I was kinda like, "You guys," I mean, I didn't say anything. I'm like, "This is your mom, like,
Yeah.
do whatever you think is appropriate," but I was just like, "I can't believe some of the like, you're just making up song lyrics and, like, just" it was so goofy, and,
It's a
this like
coping
people are
mechanism, right?
right, and it was, like, borderline inappropriate in my opinion, but I was like, "No, maybe this is just what we do," you know? So, this is how we've gotten through things for centuries, I guess, so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a coping mechanism. Humor is, I'm noticing in this administration, in this sort of new era that we're in, they say that like comedy thrives in like bad times, right? I mean, when things are going great, comedy's just like, oh, this other little thing on the side. But when everyone's having a horrendous time, they lean into jokes and songs. That's the thing, jokes and songs. And my grandfather, he was in World War II, and he was in his 20s. All they did, he was telling me right before he died, he told me all these things that they were doing, and they were the things they saw were just like genuinely just harrowing stuff. But the thing that got them through on the boat, on the transports, when they were marching, when they were working, when they were doing anything, was jokes and songs. And it got them through. Like it got them through some pretty intense stuff. And when they would be super inappropriate, there'd be something pretty dark happening, and someone cracked a joke. There's nothing funnier than it being in that moment, you know, that's a pretty good, I mean, it's dark, but it's a pretty good way to cope
Right.
with, the shit that life throws at you.
Yeah. Also, like, I think about, like, punching up versus punching down, and, like,
Sure.
when everyone's getting shit on, there's a lot to punch up at, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
so, to put this
There's
into here. Yeah.
that reminds me of there's a guy called Clayton Steele. He was a comedy director in Melbourne. He taught me about convex and concave comedy,
Oh,
where it's sort of like if it's concave, you're the butt of the joke. All the jokes are about you. You're the fool. It's you that's being misunderstood. Even if you're doing it ironically, like Ricky Gervais, like will be ironically sarcastic about things and say bloviate about these things that it's wrong that he's saying it. That's why it's funny. But then there's convex comedy, which is like, oh, look at this idiot over here. Oh, look at this dumb dumb sitting here. Like, a lot of crowd work is convex, and a lot of like, oh, did you hear
mhm.
about this Trump? Well, it's hey, let's all laugh at something outside of me. You're not necessarily laughing at me. You're laughing at what I'm saying about someone else or about something else. And I always lean towards concave because I feel like if I can take the hit, if I hit myself, you can't hit me. I'm invincible. I can take as many hits as you throw at me because no one said anything worse about me than I have. and
Yeah.
yeah, that's my
My
inclination is that.
my rule is it's okay to make fun of us, but not okay to make fun of them. And that's
That's a good
that's
rule.
that's basically what you're saying is concave. But yeah, it's like I think making fun of them is just dividing people further. Even though I
Yeah,
agree with a lot of that stuff, it's funny or whatever, but it's like, I mean, there's no deeper well of comedic material than my own existence because I am an idiot. And like I think it also makes you I don't know if it makes you humble, but you're just like, you can laugh at yourself. And if you can include yourself in that group, okay, you can make a joke about it. But like if you're a white guy, there are a lot of groups you can't include yourself
right.
in, and that's if you're making fun of those groups, oftentimes that's racism, which is not funny.
Yeah, that's not funny. The Chris Rock show writing group used to have a big ethos. They had Chris Rock. This was Chris's rule. He said, "Make fun of what they do, not what they are."
Ugh,
So if people are doing something by
yeah,
choice that is
uh,
silly or dumb or is, idiotic, yeah, you can make fun of that thing they're doing.
yeah,
But if it's something they can't help, they were born with or whatever, then no bueno.
yeah. That's interesting in a time of like identity politics. Might
Yeah,
be
right.
might be some tough terrain there, but
Yep, yep.
yeah, I can't spend my time, dealing with people's negative reactions to my stuff. It just like kills I would never create anything else. And it's like I would spend so much time on it that I wouldn't be able to write or draw or anything. It's like I
Mhm.
can't take that away from myself at this point. And so playing it safe, quote unquote, is kind of more what I do, and whatever, it's fine. Um,
I don't know. You mentioned that you got purposefully weird in your most recent thing just to kind of see who would stick around.
yeah, well, it was more like there's a book, Arbitrary Stupid Goal. I think you may have it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have like I think I still have 8 copies, like, right over here. I just bought
Nice.
a lot of them. And then there was another book called So Many Olympic Exertions that I read that was not a funny book, but,
Oh,
is an incredible writer. I think she actually teaches, at Columbia. Actually teaches
oh,
writing at Columbia. But anyway, it was like this construction of books, and it was the first ones that I had read where it was presenting all the dots without necessarily connecting them for you. I think a publisher, unless you're really, really, um, really a great writer, would probably, I think where they're trying to guide you to like making things more accessible so you can sell more copies. And I was like,
right.
what if I just make something really inaccessible? I
Do
just
the
want to
opposite.
give people the dots, let them pick the ones they like or connect the dots they like, and
Hmm.
yeah, and I think it works. I don't know. It sold enough copies to make me happy, whatever, but I'm not like it was self-published, so I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I paid an editor to edit it twice.
Hmm.
But there were definitely people who were like, "This is just random and all over the place." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And I hate it. I'm like,
You're
"Okay."
celebrating.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
celebrating the bad reviews. Like Mike just said in the comments, he said the black hole like emotional gravity of the 1-star reviews. It's just there's nothing like it.
And like I was like, once you start getting negative reviews, it means it's gotten outside of your circle of people who follow you,
Yes.
which is good. So it's like it's selling a little bit. And that did happen. And I the new thing I learned with this book is that someone would review a book without having read the entire thing, which
Yep.
I know that happens, but a guy like literally went on Amazon. I was like, I hope this gets better, but after 50 pages, it's blah blah blah. And I was like, wait, so are you gonna finish it? Like, is this like is it? Like, and I think the problem with like Amazon being a place for book reviews is like
Hmm.
the guy's he may have ordered a toaster at the same time he got your book, and Amazon sent him an email and said, "How's your toaster and your book doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll review both of them." He's like, "Toaster's great, blah blah blah. This book though, I don't know." And I have in some of my weaker moments, like read a bad review and like clicked over on somebody's profile to see what else they reviewed. And often it's like cream for psoriasis and like Brendan's book and like, a drill, the power drill that they
Yeah.
bought. And you're like, wow, they are. But in their defense, they're buying a product. They deserve to
I
like
guess
rate it, I guess.
my
But it's
my
funny.
writing partner Scott just posted yesterday. He said reviews are really important on Amazon. Thankfully, our new book has been getting really nice reviews, except one. It was I was interested in who didn't enjoy it, so I went to their profile. Their 5-star reviews were reserved for cat food, a 3-pack of underwear, and a 14 multifunctional deluxe gallbladder plush toy. Honestly, I didn't stand a chance.
Right. But it does, you
Like,
try it. Yeah. You want some clues. You're like, who didn't enjoy it? Yeah, right. And it's like, but also I think it's an indication. I tell writing students this too, that like people bring their own shit to your art, right? Like no matter what, if it's just like on a micro level of what happened to them that day, or like if their expectation of a book is that it should include romantic elements and, whatever, like if that's all they read and they find your book, which doesn't contain that, they're going to be disappointed. And like,
mhm,
it's fair. That's what people do. That's why art works and doesn't work. But
yeah.
like, if you think about the love songs you were into when you were like 17, and like if they hit you now, you'd be like, I don't relate to this at all. I'm like 40, 46. I don't have these emotions anymore. I don't have these hormones. So it's like it all has to line up for somebody to just really love a piece, or a
Totally.
book. It's like don't beat yourself up if somebody
Yeah.
did. So yeah.
Um, I want to get into self-pub versus publishing and the publisher, but before I do, this time around, every time I sort of flip the camera and just start doodling while I'm chatting to you. If anyone has any requests in the comments, put them in there now. But I wanted to talk to you about the fact that you have, I don't know, we spoke about this a little bit. You've done self-publishing and you go on book tour, you sell copies of the book, literally just hand selling copies of your book. And I guess I've never self-pubbed a book. Every book I've ever done has been with a publisher, and that comes with its own advantages and drawbacks. But can you speak to that a little bit? Like, how do you when do you know a book is like, you know what, I'm not going to try and shop this one to a big publisher. I'm just going to sell it myself. Is there a threshold, or is it the idea?
Boy, that's a good idea. Or that's a good question. I think it's when uh I like half-ass pitch it to an editor I've worked with, and they're like,
Hmm.
I don't think so. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll self-publish it. It's funny because I've realized over the years, well, the first book I ever published was a self-published book because a publisher rejected it, and it did well enough. They were a small publisher, and I went back to them, and said, "Hey, this book sold whatever 2,500 copies in the first year,
Hmm.
something like that."
Wow,
And they're like,
that's
"Oh,
good.
what else you got?" So then they
Nice.
published a book, and to this day, I compare those two books, and the self-published one made more money, sold far
Huh.
fewer copies, obviously, but yeah, it's a whole decision matrix, and like I think we think still that getting a book deal means that our book is going to sell, which is just not true. Publishers have to sell, dozens of different titles a year, new titles, and the publicist may do really well with yours, or they may be overworked and like just, focusing
Right.
on something else.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to you anyway. But I guess I enjoy making books and having them out in the world. So I'm not super afraid to just do it myself. And like,
Hmm.
am I the best graphic designer? No. Does the cover matter that much? I'm not sure,
Right. Right.
I follow a publishing Substack. The lady owned or started Belt Publishing, and I believe she said that 70% of all book purchases are made online.
70?
Which, yeah, this is maybe last year sometime, and I was like, wow, okay, so you know, making decisions based on how does this book look in a bookstore is maybe not that relevant anymore.
Wow.
But yeah,
Oh,
like sometimes I'll
that's
just like
news.
float an idea to somebody, and if they're like, yeah, I don't think so. That's not for us. I'm like, well, okay. It's not for you because you need to sell 50,000 copies of this book.
Right. Right.
I can sell 1,000 and be happy. I mean, a
Huh.
few years ago, I had an idea for a book called 15-Second Recipes, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
just
Yeah.
just
I
a
have it.
joke. Okay, good. Yeah.
It's great.
You didn't get rid of it. Um, but it's like, it's just the joke on how to cook, very quickly. And it was all just like, get a block of cheese, take a bite out of it. Get your roommate or a friend to make you a sandwich. And it was all these ridiculously simple ideas that I just thought were kind of funny and just illustrated them.
Yeah.
I did learn that you can literally just bite into a block of uncooked ramen noodles. That was not something I knew. before that. But I sent it to a friend or an editor I've worked with, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't think that's for us." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just at the time, I wanted it to be small, and I had to the self-publishing, the services I usually use didn't have a book that small that you could have with a binding on it, so I was like, "Well."
Uh,
And I found a company that, like, makes real estate brochures and just printed 1,000 of them for I forget, maybe it was $2,000 for 1,000 copies of this book, and then I just sold them, and, you can still buy it. The software caught up or the publishing company's caught up, but I was like, "I wanna make this book because I think it's funny," and, I get inspiration from a friend of mine we actually bicycled across America, God, 15 years ago now,
wow.
but he will spend so much money on a joke that has an audience of one, It's more like a
Funny.
prank, but it's like
Right.
he just doesn't care. He's like, "I think this needs to exist in the world." And I think, like, if you spend a little money on it and you send it through the mail, it is, like,
Yeah.
incredible when you, like, imagine your friend opening something and being like, "Oh my god, Tony, what?" Like, and I kinda think of the books as the same way, where, like, "What if this existed? Wouldn't that be hilarious?" And, books take forever to produce, and you're, like, putting a lot of time and effort into it, and when you
Yeah.
self-publish, it may not sell anything. So you're kinda like I don't know if this is worth it. This joke is really not worth it, but,
Right.
um, it's to the point I think nowadays, 30 years ago, if you self-published, you maybe were not gonna sell very many books, and nowadays, you can arguably sell a lot of books self-publishing, because the publisher often a big chunk of their publicity, and maybe you can speak on this better than I can, is what are you gonna do as the author? Like,
Right.
do
Right.
they wanna work with some unknown person who's never even, like, logged on to Instagram or YouTube or whatever and is like, "Nope, I just make the art and I don't wanna sell it." They probably don't,
Right.
versus somebody who's, like, has 1,000,000 followers on social media or even an engaged smaller following.
Yeah.
So the marketing and the publicity is coming down to you anyway, a lot of times, or the majority of it, so it's like, well, why not just do it myself? Um, and
Hmm.
having that, um, experience of realizing that a lot of my books are not gonna be bestsellers, I'm not
Right.
super worried about, but it's the I guess having that understanding where you think, "Oh, can I self-publish this? Of course I can?" Am I willing to put whatever several hundred hours into something that may only make me $3,000 total? Yeah.
Right.
That's a bad business plan, but for art, it's fantastic?
I love that. It's
Well,
if you want it in the world, I mean,
yeah.
you want it to exist.
You think, like, graffiti artists are like this is how I'm gonna make it. They just want to make the art, and like early hip hop was the same thing too. Like I remember
Yes.
being quite shocked when I grew up listening to early 90s hip hop, right? And like
Right.
it was when rappers started to be able to make real money, it was like
Mhm.
alienating to me. I was like, "Oh man, what?" Like I mean,
Yeah.
they were, the guys I listened to were always talking about money, but it wasn't like massive sums of it. They weren't buying record
Right.
companies and stuff like that. So
Right.
like, oh man. And that's not a judgment of quality. That's just me being an old guy in
No,
some
no, I
ways.
get it though. It does change everything.
Yeah.
It changes
Yeah.
things.
And I think like a lot of projects I do, like video sometimes is this way, and like other things I do where you bring in a sponsor or someone who's going to pay for it. That's your
Right.
collaborator, and like um,
Hmm.
it's like when you have the idea, you might have the same experience, I think, in a lot of ways. When you have the idea, it's art, and you like the
Right.
possibilities are whatever the possibilities are. But the minute somebody says, okay, we'll pay you for it, here's a contract, it's due,
Yeah.
August 10th, it becomes
Yeah.
work. It goes on your to-do list. And you're like, oh yeah,
Exactly.
I gotta do that thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just like, plugging away on your own in your little room, it's like a real creative experience. And I think I try to hang on to a little bit of that, even though I
Yeah.
have to make a living doing it. And self-publishing is
Yeah.
a way to do that. So
That's so
yeah,
interesting. Well, I mean
yeah.
that plays into I don't know if you ever read the book Company of One by Paul Jarvis. Um,
No.
I think he's Canadian. He built an entire business of like, I think it was like a software business, but using a mailing list. But he also had like, he used to ask himself, what is your enough? Right? Like,
Mhm.
there's people who want to just like, where no amount of money will ever be enough money. Um, so if you deliberately ask yourself, like, what is your enough? Then you can kind of get somewhere where you can be somewhat satisfied because you didn't want to get on the bestseller list, or you didn't want to sell 10,000 copies. 100 copies would make you happy, or whatever it is, whatever your enough um, is something to kind of always ask yourself, because is that kind of hedonic adaptation is like, oh great, I sold 1,000 copies, now I want to sell 10,000 copies. Like it's never going to be enough. um we did have, by the way, we had a question for you in the chat. Jennifer George, who by the way happens to be Rube Goldberg's granddaughter, um she said, where do you print your books and how do you get them into stores, or do you just sell them online?
Yeah, so the simple I wanna read you this John Green quote real quick, and I'll answer
Oh
that,
great,
but
love that.
it's
Love John
exactly what
Green.
you're saying.
Great.
This is in a YouTube video from 2009, but he says,
Nice.
"Don't make stuff because you wanna make money, it will never make you enough money, and don't make stuff because you want to get famous, because you will never feel famous enough. Make gifts for people and work hard on making those gifts in the hope that those people will notice and like the gifts. Maybe they will notice how hard you worked and maybe they won't. And if they don't notice, I know it's frustrating. But ultimately, that doesn't change anything because your responsibility is not to the people you're making the gift for, but to the gift itself." Um, and I
Good
think about that
Lord.
like when you make something,
Wow.
just make gifts for your friends. And that's the best motivation possible. But
Yeah, that's great.
long
I love that.
long answer to the question though. There's two companies that I use, and one is Create Space, which is Amazon owned.
Okay.
Depending on how you feel about Amazon, that's kind of not
Sure.
cool. But what
Mhm.
I've learned in selling books over the past 10 years is like, even if you give people, you know, a list of bookstores they can use, including Bookshop. You can buy it here, you can buy it at Barnes and Noble, you can buy it here, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Like a huge percentage of people are still going to go to Amazon and buy your book,
Yeah. Right.
instead of those options, which to our earlier discussion, maybe they are there because they're buying a pair of socks and they're just like, I'll throw this
Yeah.
book in the cart too. So
Right. Right.
also Kindle, Audible, are owned by, Amazon, obviously. And
Right.
they're just dominant. And that's like, if you don't use those, you are probably losing sales. So whatever.
Hmm.
So I design my books in for that, and then basically make a copy in what's called Lightning Source or Ingram
Oh,
Spark, which is owned by
Ingram
Ingram,
Spark, right? Yeah.
which is the big book distributor for bookstores in the US,
Mhm.
and I think more than that. But it's a little clunkier. You make a little bit less money. Customer service is a little less useful. But a lot of bookstores hate Amazon. Of course they do. So they won't, if they find out you have a book somehow and they're like, oh, we should sell this new book, Ultra something by Brendan Leonard, and it's
Right.
only available on CreateSpace, you're not going to sell it. So they will order it from Ingram and put it in their bookstores. So I always do
Um,
both, which is costly as far as time and effort. And I think there's
yeah.
some fees in there, but it's all super straightforward. And the nice thing with those is that like you don't actually have to know what you're doing to produce a paperback. Like um, this book that I was just talking about, Ultra something, which is the last one I did.
Right.
I laid it out myself in the interior using a program called Atticus, and
Okay.
I I think I have like 4 copies of this book that I would order a test copy, and I would get it, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, the print is so small," and I would readjust it, and then
Right.
adjust everything on the interior. But you can literally order these little test copies, and they show up at your
That's pretty
house in like
cool.
5 days.
Wow.
So you're able to learn by trial and error that way, and a little cost. I think it costs you like 10 or $15 to get the sample copy, but
Right.
um,
Right.
and designing a book cover actually not super hard if you're not trying to get super ornate with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of book covers nowadays, you're like, oh, that's just a stock photo that they didn't shoot the
Mm,
person running. They just grabbed a stock photo off of this thing and plugged it in. So, but you can
right.
hire people to design your book cover on like Fiverr or whatever. That's an
Right. Sure.
option.
Yeah.
But
Maybe there is an
it's
AI slop.
yeah. But there's like this. Yeah, I know that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
But I do kind of enjoy understanding how things are made, which I think like
Yeah.
comes
Same.
from it's sort of like a punk ethos from the early 80s probably. I remember watching a documentary called American Hardcore and listening to Ian MacKaye talk about, deciding they wanted to make an album in
Right.
Minor Threat and literally figuring out how to get 10,000 copies pressed and then gluing the album covers together themselves and sliding the records in. He's just so passionate about it. He's like, we didn't know, we were learning. And,
Right.
to this day, I believe is still independent, doing that
Really?
sort of stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Um,
Huh.
yeah. And never charged more than $10 for an album and never charged more than $5 for concert admission. Just really, really stuck to his principles. And
That's amazing. I
obviously,
love that.
yeah, publishing books through Amazon's giant self-publishing platform is not that punk.
Right.
But like doing it yourself, I still believe in. So, and it demystifies it. And I think it's like if you really want it to be a thing, you don't need
Right.
to have somebody else's permission, especially when they have a way different decision matrix, where, they have a company of several dozen to several hundred people that they need to make money because of that. You're just a person like toiling away in your office. Why not just make the thing? And if
Right.
you really care about selling books, like the thing I think about is how quick most of us are to pay, say, Netflix or Hulu or whatever,
Yeah.
10
Every
or
month.
$15 a month to like let us entertain ourselves by like watching whatever they put in front of us.
Right.
Which no shade to that. I enjoy watching stuff. But like
Yeah.
how little any of us will ever say, "Oh, I'm gonna spend $80 and make a book," and that's gonna be my entertainment for the next 2, 3 months, uh,
Right. Right.
because it requires effort or whatever. But that's just my entertainment, a lot of
Right.
times. But like
Huh.
I'm like totally I'm mortified when we like pay for Hulu for like 4 months in a row and we don't even watch a single
Yeah.
episode 'cause we're
Same.
so busy. I'm like, God, what am I doing? I'm wasting money. But
Yeah.
I'll just plow, dozens of hours into making a book that'll sell, you know, 1,000 copies. And you're like, that was a good use of my time, you know. Which is
Yeah.
you know what? I'll stick with that. That is a good use
Yeah.
of my time no matter what. So yeah.
um,
So
I wanted to share something that you just mentioned, Ingram Spark. My first book editor, started Ingram Spark. Was part of starting it.
wow.
Justine Bilo. Shout out to Justine Bilo.
Wow.
at Ingram Spark, and she's moved on since. But yeah, she taught me a lot about books, and because I knew zero about books, and this is news. Speaking of books, um, but as of for spring next year, you can get your hands on. This is the first time I'm mentioning this. You can get your hands on "You're Not a Real Parent Until," which is going to be published by Andrews McMeel Publishing. Uh, we decided not to go self-pub with these purely to get them on shelves, and we were very, very straight with them about. They were like, "Why wouldn't you self-pub?" We said, we need the Schuster Distribution Network. We need your mechanisms for getting it out there because it's a gift book and it needs to be in people's hands. And it is hard to sell gift books online. But you can't, I mean, it's not impossible, it's just hard. And so we worked, Justine initially helped us develop that idea. And Ingram Spark is, I know it's helping a lot of people. And the other thing, by the way, I wrote all my comedy in this. I take this to every gig.
You need more of those?
Yes, I do. Look, it's full. All of my gigs, all my jokes, all of my sketches from like when I go to jazz clubs
Nice.
and stuff like that. It's all in. This is a Brendan Leonard original over here. Um, yeah, and oh, we had a question in the chat, by the way. Yes, these were the Blackwing pencils from Waking Up that I was using to draw. Yeah, the self pub versus going traditional is this. I oscillate between the two all the time, and I think about it, and I have ideas for books, including like putting together a compendium of all the different things that I've written on my Substack that have done well or engaged people or have found useful, and putting them into a self pub book. But yeah, it's just like you say, you spend so much money and time and you think, you're thinking, wow, if I'm going to sell like 10 copies, 20 copies, like,
Yeah.
your big why has to be because I want to see it in the world, not because you want to make $1 million.
Yeah. Well, and also like that's a concrete thing that you can hold in your hand too and be like, "Oh yeah, all this writing
Sure.
isn't just this digital thing." But yeah,
Yeah.
and I think there's different uses for different, one can make sense for a certain project and not make sense for another one, like you said. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
if I had a gift book like that, good luck me walking into Target and being like, "You guys want to sell this here?"
Yeah. Right.
But
Exactly.
a real publisher who's like, "Yeah, we'll put this by the baby stuff." It's like, "Oh my
Right.
god.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll crush." So,
We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Uh,
yeah. That's the third and final. Is that?
it's the second of three. The first one is "You're Not a Real Dog Owner Until," which came out this year, realdogowner.com. And then the third and final will be "You're Not a Real New Yorker Until," which
Yeah.
comes out in fall of 2026.
Yeah.
So I'm doing back-to-back books.
Do I not have two?
Yeah, yeah, you do. You do.
Wait a minute. Are you
I sent you when you
gaslighting
when you
me?
had your kid. When you had your kid, I think I sent you an old copy. But yeah, so it's going to be re-released 2026 in, I want to say, April. So yeah, a whole new updated. You'll get an updated version. Because my co-author Scott has just had a kid, so
Yeah.
a lot more material to put in the book.
Yeah.
I've kept you for way longer than I asked you, so I am very, very grateful to you. This has been amazing. I'm gonna What I do after these is I re-listen to it while it's fresh into my head and I write up like a recap. There's way too many there's too many things in this now for me to just like summarize. I'm gonna have to clip these up and slowly drip feed them onto whatever forever. So thank you. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you, Mike. Mike's been great. I don't know if you know, but he's been posting links to your books this whole time in the chat.
Oh, thank you,
So
Mike. I owe you 10%.
yeah, he's your hype man. He's your agent.
Yeah.
Um, but let me know, apart from semi-rad.com, where can people find you? On your Instagram, or where do you want people to find you?
Yeah, Substack, or I'm on Substack too. I think it's just semirad.substack.com. If that's your preferred, I kind of just put things everywhere, just like whatever. If you can find it, that's awesome. But yeah, I use another email program as well. But yeah, if you just Google semi-rad, it should show up somewhere. But yeah, no, man, thanks for having me. Like, I can't believe how professional you are doing these and like how into it. Like, this is amazing. So
Thank you. No, I'm still figuring it out as I go, but I'm trying to make it a regular thing. I think the deadline helps. Knowing that I have it coming up, I'm like, all right,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
Are you
Thank you.
are you flying home from San Diego then after this road trip?
Actually, San Francisco. Yeah.
San Francisco. Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yep. Yep. So it's gonna be about, I don't know, I gotta look at the roadmap thing we have for the trip. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun trip. I will definitely be dropping you a line mid trip to ask you for expert advice on bits and pieces because I've never ever done this before. So yeah, I'm gonna need some Leonard wisdom
All my
mid
all my
trip.
all my beta for like the 101 and one is like 10 years old at least. But
Right.
I've driven that whole length twice just for fun. So
Wow.
it's amazing,
That,
dude. You know, a blast.
yeah, I can't wait for that part. The one is really gonna be
Yeah.
the highlight, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
Mount Rainier or Mount St. Helens, but yeah, it'll be fun.
Meh.
Who knows? Eh.
Mount Hood. Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna get let you get going with your day. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Brandon, thank you. This was really cool. This is
Uh,
awesome. We'll do it again. But yeah, in the meantime, everyone go check out semi-rad.com and subscribe to Brendan's Substack. And I am gonna take a break from these while I'm on the road, and I'll be back after my trip, hopefully alive and well.
yeah. Fine. Fine. Awesome. Thanks so much,
All
dude.
right, see you,
Talk to
pal.
you
Bye.
soon.
See you, everyone.